So with Mr. T, I know we're going to go back into working a little bit with also that leash pressure like I'd mentioned earlier, but I wasn't sure how long they were going to be working on the drilling. So I wanted to do a little bit of play time for him to also test the audio and make sure that it's not too noisy for when we're practicing with our videos. But of course, when doing some play, this is a great way to give your pup an outlet when maybe, let's say, the environment is a bit trying. So remember that a lot of times when your puppies feel a little bit flustered or overwhelmed, pairing it with something they can do instead, nice job checking in, sir, is another great option. Because for a lot of the puppies, not having something that might be more enriching or exciting to do other than getting flustered can set them up to maybe think that loud noises are past their comfort range. This doesn't mean that we want to flood our puppies with information. So remember how flooding would be your puppy is over their threshold and they're either shutting down or going into sort of reactive like behaviors where they're feeling really overwhelmed. So remember that when your puppy is giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time, either mentally or physically. So we want to make sure that if we are going to be working with some play, that it's not, let's say if your dog is scared of thunder or fireworks, you're not going to go right out to the field where the fireworks are happening and then try to get some play behavior out of your puppy, because that would involve bringing them right to the hardest dynamic and hope they can make it when we know they're more than likely going to fail in that situation. So make sure to set up your puppies for success, and that also includes knowing their limitations or understanding where their comfort range does lie. So when you're practicing on, let's say, counter conditioning, which is again working on teaching your pup how to feel a little differently around something that would have originally created stress or anxiety or excitement or even fear responses, is that if we don't work our pups under that threshold, then when you go to practice, what you're actually doing is just flooding your puppy with the setup, and you might be reinforcing that they should be fearful and overwhelmed by that setup. So if your puppy is rehearsing reactivity or over-arousal type behaviors, wow, good takedown, is then what they're actually getting to practice is sometimes feeling safe or more comfortable after getting to let those behaviors come out. So remember, rehearsal of any skill does help your puppy master the skill. So if you're not a huge fan of the behavior, try to prevent it from happening in the first place, or think of skills or behaviors you would rather replace with an appropriate outlet. So remember, we're not scolding behavior we've deemed bad dog or negative, but instead view it as communication and your puppy's only way to say when they're feeling comfortable or uncomfortable. So remember, this doesn't mean I want your dog to, if they're scared of the UPS man, to go and chase them and bite them. But if your dog is unable to say how they're feeling at a whisper, maybe in the beginning of that setup, you may be scolding the original responses to stress and then creating what we've called in the past a zero dog. So you want to be very careful that what you're, again, working on is not suppression of behavior, but instead helping your dog feel safe again, and then nurturing and reinforcing the skills or behavior sets that you'd like to have happen again. Remember that a lot of times too is you can start to think of, if I don't like what my dog is offering, what could I have my dog offer instead? So those are really great ways to think about it, and always view behavior as communication, not good or bad or right or wrong. And that'll really help your relationship as well, because if you think about them as a small little human child, they have the capacity of 2 to 3 year old human children. So remember that for a lot of them, they don't understand culturally either, though, what's expected of them in the human world versus the dog world. So you may find that at times your communication is a bit confusing to them because it doesn't make sense socially or behaviorally from their end of dog world. So again, we might go right back into another little play moment. He's doing a really nice job. I'm hoping they're all done doing that crazy drilling, which again, I get it. They're always allowed to do their own thing on either bubble, but that was some crazy noises. Nice job, Mr. Handsome. So obviously, once we're done doing a little bit of play, I want to go back into working a bit with some of the leash pressure behavior that I was mentioning. So that way you can sort of help him as he gets bigger to not become more of a potential puller or to blow through equipment or potentially hurt himself or you guys while going out on gear. So he's doing a real nice show with his play. So we might go, ready, Zeus, strap. Yes, nice job. So remember too, if your puppy doesn't get to practice relinquishing and letting go of things they're allowed to have, they are probably not going to get good at relinquishing things they shouldn't have. So do always think to yourself, am I showing my puppy how to work a skill before we need it or while you're trying to have it happen? He says there is a darn crumb that he has been very interested in for now weeks, but I don't think we can ever get it out of the floorboard there or out of the mat. Nice. Good job. There he goes. He almost found it. Ready? Zeus, find it. So we'll give him a little break from the play, and then we'll go into that leash pressure like I had mentioned earlier before.